Well, if this is Wednesday night in Woodside, then this must be the Sunnyside Singers Club. So what I would like to do is introduce David Rovics. And the best way of introducing David Rovics is letting him do his music, because it is wonderful, it is fantastic. I believe, without any exaggeration, that David is probably one of the 2 or 3 best topical political singer-songwriters around today. We are taping this, we're recording this. This is Joel Landy, producer of the Songs of Freedom cable TV program. He's going to be recording it. So without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's give it up for David Rovics. Okay.
Back to December 21st on the border with Kenya and Somalia. It's a long way from Nairobi. Travel across the country to an arid northern border town. If you leave early in the day, you'll still be on your way long after the sun is going down. It began as just a ride to the other side, but then was interrupted by the sound of the shattering of glass as the driver tried to pass. Men with guns in the dusty desert ground. There were 2 already dead, another shot as she fled. No question here whose lives were now at stake. When all is said and done, it is instances like this one when every move is one that just might make or break. All passengers get out, men with guns begin to shout. You Christians now get up against the wall. And then everyone stayed still, saying, now do as you will. You may leave, or you may kill us all. It wasn't far away, just over a year ago today, when people were massacred exactly in this manner. Pattern, it was clear, all the Muslims here would be safe if they just stood beside this banner. Bed scars passed from hand to hand among this human band. Live together or together fall. And then nobody moved, showing each of them approved of saying you may leave or you may kill us all. Wasn't set in stone. There's no way they could have known that this time, this act of solidarity would see the gunmen leave. Goals left unachieved on the border there in Mandera County. But sometimes you take a chance, then at a second glance you find you've changed the world with the passing of a shawl. There are those who will remember, those who on one day in December said you may leave, or you may kill us all. You may leave, or you may kill us all. You may leave. If this were a war, if he were a soldier, he would find a well defensible position. He'd put on body armor. If he were a sniper, set his sights with terrible precision. If this were a war, he was somewhere overseas, he'd be watching out for the other side, watching for the Taliban and whichever enemies kept on trying to blow him open wide. If this were a war, he'd be dodging shells aimed at him for me on the street. He'd be on alert for any sign that tells that the soldier might be drawing heat. If this were a war and he were being shot, he'd be under orders to shoot back. If he'd learned the lessons from the training that he got, he'd carefully prepare his counterattack. If this were a war and the enemy wore blue, he'd be looking for signs of it everywhere. If he was in good form and his aim was true, he would pick them off and center his crosshairs. If this were a war, not a Dallas parking lot, he'd be getting medals for this firefight. If he were a soldier, he'd be praised for every shot he fired from above that deadly night. If this were a war, 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 if this were a war. I thought it was very poetic in my favor when Trump was saying that Obama and Hillary Clinton were the founders of ISIS, because that may or may not be true. I don't know. Maybe the Russians know, and they're going to tell us. But in any case, I figure that I decided last December that, and that with a lot of evidence in my favor, if you look at YouTube, that Donald Trump is in fact the ISIS's chief recruiting officer. I mean, they can share these responsibilities, him and Hillary and Obama. They can all run ISIS together. I think that's only fair, since they already seem to be doing that. He was born a rich man, then he got richer still by bribing politicians on Capitol Hill, by declaring bankruptcy, by working with the mob, by causing lots of Americans to lose their union jobs, by exporting industries to sweatshops overseas, by acting like an idiot on national TV. But now add to his accomplishments one more impressive trait: he's God's gift to the caliphate. God's gift to the caliphate. That's the chorus, you got it? In between his beauty pageants and gambling casinos and pretending to be a self-made man in films and TV shows, Donald Trump decided he should run for president. For jihadi recruiters, his campaign is heaven sent. It's a war between religions, a civilizational fight. That's what Daesh says, and Donald Trump says that's right. All you Muslims, stay out of here. Just go join Islamic State. He's God's gift to the caliphate. God's gift to the caliphate. He's not much for statistics. He doesn't have the time between harassing women and committing corporate crime. But he's a savvy gambler. He knows how to play the game. He's got a list of groups ready-made for him to blame. He doesn't just hate Muslims, he hates Mexicans as well. And he's prepared to win the contract for the wall he wants to sell. But the terrorists around the world think he's really great. He's God's gift to the caliphate. God's gift to the caliphate. The future of the world may be technically unknown, but if the past is any indication, then Trump has set the tone. Along with 27 governors, Congress people by the score, who, if we turn the clock back to 1944, would be turning back the refugees just like we did back then. Hey, that worked out so well, why not just do it all again? Because what the world clearly needs is more vile bombs and hate. And God's gift to the caliphate. God's gift to the caliphate. Coincidentally, right around, I think it was actually the same, within a few weeks of that announcement that Muslims were not going to be welcome in the United States under his presidency. I can't remember who found this out, but somebody discovered that in that ship, the MS St. Louis that came from Germany full of refugees trying to escape fascism, and first it got turned away from Cuba, then turned away here in New York City, and then turned away in Canada, and then it went back to Europe, and where many of the people on board died. And what they discovered last fall was that among the 900 or so Jewish Germans and other Jews on the ship was Anne Frank's father, Otto Frank, who was trying to come to the United States or Cuba or Canada in order to be the first one to come and then send for his family, as refugees do. And then if you look at the press from the 1930s, the English language press here in the United States and Canada and Britain, they were all saying the same kinds of things about refugees. It's all very familiar. It's 1939 and the boats are coming, but we can't have them here. That much at least is clear. Our economy is poor. We can't just open up the door. We've got problems of our own. They should just leave us alone. They're a tribalistic race. They keep a separate space. They don't really integrate. They'll be a burden on the state. Watch before it is too late. It's 1939 and the boats are coming. But if we let them land and acquiesce to their demands, we'll soon be overrun. Our Christian country will be done. They should just take the tram closer by to Amsterdam. Keep their problems in the region. This invading legion, enemies within our ranks, with names like Rosenberg and Frank. Watch that water that you drank. It's 1939 and the boats are coming, but they must stay away. In the newspapers they say they don't believe in Christ the Lord, and they're jumping overboard, crossing borders in a swarm. They'll never be reformed. It's a Trojan horse attack, and we've got to send them back. There may be Nazis in the hall, answering Hitler's call. These Jews are Germans after all. It's 1939 and the boats are coming. So a communist and an anarchist were in a car together. Who was driving? The cop. I don't drive a car because they run on gas, but if I did, it'd run on biomass. I ride a bike, or sometimes a skateboard, so piss off all you drivers and your yucky hordes, sitting all day in the traffic queues. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't eat meat, I just live on moldy chives or the donuts that I found in last week's dumpster dives. Look at you people in that restaurant, I think you are so sad when you could have been eating bagels beers like the ones that I just had. I think it is a shame all the bourgeois things you do. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't wear leather, and I like my clothes in black, and I made a really cool hammock from a moldy coffee sack. I like to hop on freight trains. I think that is so cool. It's so much funner doing this than being stuck in school. I can't believe you're wearing those brand new shiny shoes. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't have sex, and there will be no sequel because heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. I'll just keep on moshing to anti-flag and crass until there are no differences in gender, race, or class. All you brainwashed breeders, you just haven't got a clue. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't believe in leaders, I think consensus is the key. I don't believe in stupid notions like representative democracy. Whether or not it works, I know it is the case that only direct action can save the human race. So when I see you in your voting booth, then I know it's true. I'm a better anarchist than you. I am not a pacifist, I like throwing bricks, and when the cops have caught me and I've taken a few licks, I always feel lucky that I get a bloody nose, because I feel so militant and everybody knows. By the time the riot is all through, I'm a better anarchist than you. I'm a better anarchist than you. Long before she took that name, was organizing workers in Hamburg just the same. Organizing beneath the flag of deepest red, a new dawn of peace and freedom clearly shining ahead. Katarina Jakob first was sent to jail when the trappings of democracy all began to fail. She was frequently arrested in and out of custody while her first husband was in hiding from the Nazis. Katarina Jakob was acquitted of a crime, but the Gestapo had the last word and they weren't finished with her this time. She was sent to Ravensbrück, a killing hunger at her side. She heard of the execution, how her second husband died. For Katarina Jakob, the end was close at hand. She was on a death march with a ragged, starving band, marching through a forest, being led by the SS. What would happen hours later seemed impossible to guess. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. That's the chorus. Katarina Jakob thought about her children and the friends and comrades taking care of them, not knowing yet if any of them survived, not knowing that soon she'd see her daughters both alive. Katarina Jakob watched the German soldiers flee, streaming from the east, that's what she was seeing. Allied bombers flew above them, she thought they all might die, and then soon there was the silence of all the SS men. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. Katarina Jakob saw red flags flapping in the breeze above the Russian tanks, and she fell upon her knees. And so many different voices in so many different tongues sang the most beautiful song that could ever have been sung. In German, Lithuanian, in Polish and in Dutch, a myriad of melodies as never had been such. In Russian and in Yiddish, Italian and French, emerging from the forests beneath a trench. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. When the sun rose the next morning, it was the 1st of May, and they all sang the Internationale. They all sang the Internationale. Folke die Signale auf zum letzten Gefecht. Die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. Folke die Signale auf zum letzten Gefecht. Die Internationale erkämpft das Menschenrecht. I wrote this song when just before the primaries, so it's slightly dated. Since Sanders went back to the dark side. It's election time again, and the battle's pretty tight. On the left is Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump is on the right. On the Democratic ticket, there's a struggle for the base, and Hillary is showing her most progressive face. She says we know she's an outsider because she is female, but if Clinton's a progressive, then I'm a killer whale. She'll take on the banks, she says, if we let her run the nation. But this is the woman who voted for deregulation. Now she says the TPP should be summarily aborted, but every trade deal heretofore she's actively supported. If she felt that way before, why wait so long to tell us? If Clinton's a progressive, then I'm Wynton Marsalis. Service to the people has always been her mission. That's why she's always striven to send so many of them to prison. She lobbied for the crime bill. She lobbied to gut welfare. Now she emerges from her mansion to pretend she really cares. I guess she figures if she lies enough, folks will eventually believe her. But if Clinton's a progressive, I'm a golden retriever. If I were a gambler, I'd bet you my John Thomas that this deceptive politician will go back on every promise. I'd love to elect a woman, but not just anybody's daughter. Though I'd happily vote for Jill Stein or Maxine Waters. But I'll be damned if I must choose between two more plutocrats. If Clinton's a progressive, then I am Bill the Cat. Okay, my goal is to drive everybody out of the room by offending them about one thing or another.
We should wait until after Marilyn passes the basket.
Yeah. They never accuse me of being good for business. I'll do one more song and then we'll take a break and then we got more. Right? Is that about right? Is that?
As you wish.
I was at a march on May 1st, 2000 in Manhattan, and there were 5,000 people marching, and about 98% of them were from Mexico or Central America, and there were about 5,000 cops, and they had so many motorcycles they were literally falling over each other, and the cops were on the average about a foot taller than the marchers, and so you couldn't see the marchers unless you were in the march, and but there were 5,000 of them, and I went to this march thinking it was going to be about amnesty for undocumented workers, which maybe it was originally supposed to be, but in any case, the vast majority of the marchers had signs that they had handmade that were written in English that said, "Workers of the world unite." You know, they were planning on shutting down Wall Street, which didn't happen because there were 5,000 cops and only 200 of them. Clouds gather in your forest, drift to my desert town. I think of far-off places as the rain is coming down. You're bent down in the fields, picking fruit there from the vine, and it ends up on my table as it moves on down. brightly in the night sky. The river flows from south to north. With the changing of the seasons, the birds migrate back and forth. But they say that you can't come here, not in the light of day. Somebody has got plans for you. Starve at home or hide away. Will we open up the borders? Tear down the prison walls. Declare that no one is illegal. Watch the giant as it falls. So much traveled across these borders. So much is bought and sold. One way goes the gunships, the other comes the gold. Free trade is like a needle, drawing blood straight from your heart. The border's like a prison, keeping friends apart. Will we open up the borders? Tear down the prison walls, declare that no one is illegal. Watch the giant as it falls. Stockholders cheer. The world's getting smaller. Hear the drowning child crying. Why are the fences growing taller? Some whisper in the shadows, while others count the dollars. Some have suits and ties, others chains and collars. Will we open up the borders? Tear down the prison walls, declare that no one is illegal. Watch the giant as it falls. May the fortress walls come down. May we meet our sisters and our brothers. Stand arm in arm there in the daylight, no longer fighting one another. Will we stand together? For therein lies our might. Will we understand these words? Workers of the world unite. Will we open up the borders? Tear down the prison walls. Declare that no one is illegal. No one is illegal. No one is illegal.
David Rovics. David.